Well, hello everyone, and welcome to part 2 of Let's Talk About A2 Way Too Much. Today, we're going to be finishing up taking a look at A2's kit by testing her out against the Thunder team. For a particular reason, she is not particularly strong against strike units, and this is one of the teams that is currently running a bunch of strike damage, so coolio. That seems like a very reasonable thing to test. Also because this is a meta team. This is a strong team. Thunder Asterisk plus Punchy Punch Alaya is a really good combination. And hey, look, we also have Lightning here too. But I wanted to kind of test out some different combinations in this one because water is actually generally pretty strong. I like Ferris a lot, and I like Summer Glassy a lot. Those two are very strong in a different element. And you kind of can have those two in good combination between water and ice with some good VCs. So yeah, for just the sake of that conversation, yeah, this is essentially who we are running today and with A2. And we're also running Velas just because he's one of the best units. So sure, haste, whatever, why not? A concern that I do have about running A2 is specifically for some kind of barrier removal. I think that you do need to consider very strongly having a character that can remove barriers if you want to be successful against a lot of different teams out there, and just totally not stalling or anything. Taking a look at Ferris, for example, Ferris is one of those characters that I believe, yeah, just cannot remove a barrier either. But regular gun Alaya can, so that might be a stronger consideration. But flash some more stats on the screen. You can take a look here, see what this character looks like, see what Punchy Punch Alaya, which I love that name for her actually, looks like, and how we're going to compare against this character, our brand new, newly added to the game character. And I believe that most of these characters do not have, or all these characters do not have trust room. We get too far in. All right, A2. Let's remove auto so we don't done goof and go. Just having a mix of music on tonight in the background as we do this. But yeah, how to say, I just don't think that I have really any issues so far with the general data, but looking at the numbers I think is just going to be really important. So let's get Asterisk going. We're going to get Lightning over here going, who's not particularly the strongest DPS or survival character, but that's okay. Next up we have A2, which let's just move her over here and take a look at these three. So first one, this is the auto re-raise one. We want to keep this one a little bit just because we want to cast it on some other characters as well. So let's hold that off. 28 AP. This is her barrier, so we're going to cast this one because it will allow us to see how the opponents handle this character too. Maybe now we'll get Ferris in here, casting her ability. And to potentially just speed things along, I can remember where it is. Also give a nice little speed boost. Our turns come faster. Animations are on. Yes, they are. So let's jump over here. We immediately have our Bridal Alaya, who can't cast her Limit Burst quite yet, but just throwing some regular strike attacks against her. Hey, welcome to the middle of the video, and we are going to hold off on polls till next week. So you take a look at this and how much Bridal Alaya is so far doing. Now, the barrier obviously doing a bunch of work here, but hey, if it keeps you alive, that's a good sign that the thing is doing what it is supposed to. So jumping through, just checking out what her damage is versus certain characters. And here you can kind of see a little bit of what is going on with DPS that is of a bigger AoE. Some of the attacks will be reduced because larger AoEs just deal less damage to her. But let's just go back up here. Cast this, get some AP going. Bring lightning over here. We'll get her to cast her ability with her barrier. We're going to take some pain because apparently the enemies are super gung-ho and we're just going to ignore them. All right, so checking out what we can do here. So here's the Limit Burst. The Limit Burst is dealing about 3,000 damage to Lightning, who does have a barrier up. We about 3,000 here towards Alaya, and last but not least, about 1,500 to Astrius, who's actually very, very damage resistant against here. But there is some extra effects that we are getting from the Limit Burst too. We're also getting Slow and Immobilize. If those go off, we get a bigger bonus. So let's just hang off on that for a second. One thing I'd also like to draw really attention to really quickly is just how cheap her kit actually is for so many different abilities. Here we have her large AoE. Now this isn't going to do a ton of damage yet, mainly because most characters nowadays have a lot of AoE resistance. And as you can see, as we're just scrolling through here, yeah, it is essentially taking a lot off. So what we want is to eventually cast this ability here. Now this is her AoE Shred. It isn't going to do a ton of damage at the start, but it is going to let us do more damage very, very quickly. So let's scroll all the way up here, and there's an ability that I kind of want to show off, which is in the sub part of her kit, which is this one. So this one right here, as you can see, we get an HP. We gotta pay a little bit, but this is gonna pay dividends. First off, let's just take a look at her stats. 1,620 attack. Keep an eye on that stat. Let's go. Oh boy, A2 is pissed. Jumping it back over, we can take a look. Paying 10% HP is giving a 70% attack boost, which is definitely not nothing. That is a fairly high attack boost, and we're still sitting at about 107 speed with haste. I think is pretty darn good. So let's just jump through really quickly, just throwing off a water unit's attack. Obviously not going to do a ton against the Thunder team. Let's skip ahead. Cast a few more buffs here just to get some more AP, and now it is our new lady's turn. Let's see what she can do now that she's gotten a bit of an attack boost. So Thunder Astrius still really, really, really good against this, but we are getting closer and closer to more and more of that DPS. Those status effects are also going to help a ton. We'll test out the healing in a second, but we want this. We want this AoE Shred, which is, we're just going to see how much it improves out the rest of our team. And sorry, but this is going to hurt. Also, one other thing that I want to say, quite nice that we do have the evade style counter. Here we go. About 3,700 HP heal off of that ability too. And now, bringing in another character, we can dish out some higher AoE damage for the simple fact that we have now shredded some AoE resistance off of these characters, making them generally a little weaker. But anyway. That evasion buff actually kind of coming in handy. But let's just jump back over here. We are not looking to kill off our allies. So get that heal back up. And now let's try Thunder Astrius, who is definitely a really strong character. And as you can see, single target is still very powerful, even with the protection that this character can offer to herself. So single targets. Definitely still very strong, even without the human killer, as A2 is a machine type character. So let's just wait, pause. We're gonna have our enemies getting closer. It's fine. And let's just see a few other abilities. So it is an improvement of damage. It's not an incredible ton because, again, we just kind of have a disadvantage here. But it does show a little bit proof of concept of one of the things that I did like about A2 early on. And I think this will be really strong in combination. But let's do this limit burst and see what this does now. A little bit scary. We are going to potentially kill Bridalaya, but hey, we're testing stuff. Sometimes gotta break a few eggs. So this limit burst, if we do get the status effect on the characters that do survive, we're looking at 100% chance to attract units by 1 square, 45% chance to inflict slow and immobilize, and decreasing slash attack if the targets have one of those status effects. So we are kind of hoping that that is going to happen. And I'm still contemplating, well, we're going to kill Barris anyway. Let's go with this. Super fast version of that limit burst. Boom. Gonna bring lightning up over here real quick. We're gonna just kill one of those guys. Deal a little bit of damage. Heal a bit. Oh, cool. We got the slow status effect anyway. Thanks, guys. That's actually really handy. So again, one of the other things that you will get off of this is a removal of slashing. But as you can see, there is a little bit of a concern here. I do think that the DPS of some of these characters just isn't quite high enough for what you would generally expect. Let's wait. Get A2, have her one more turn. So we still have the attack buff, I do believe. Just peek. Yep. And head back over in here and just see if we are dealing more damage now to the characters that we do have reduced. Because even if our water character here isn't becoming absolutely amazing, question is how much DPS are we doing now that we've gotten our AoE shred and we're also reduced slashing attack resistance by a huge factor off of this limit burst. And you can see our DPS is much, much higher. So there is a couple of costs to pay. You are going to have to pay a couple of turns, which is why I think in general this character works a little bit better more as a combo character than a single killer. But it does really potentially lend herself to be a cool teammate. You can definitely up her own power. She can give herself her own survivability. She can, I already said increasing power, but status effects, removing AoE resistance to allow other characters to shine, while also upping her own damage over multiple turns. So yeah, I like A2 a bunch for a ton of reasons. And let's just cast this last ability here. We're going to hurt him a bit, but we're also going to help him a bit. And at the end of the day, 'tis the season to give. So give some pain, give some healing rain. I don't know where I was going with that one. Cool. Yeah, I think that at the end of all of this general initial testing that there's a bunch of cool stuff here with A2. I think she'll be a really neat unit to pair with a bunch of different characters, and I'm kind of curious to see where that goes. Do I think that she's absolutely, yes, you should just pull immediately for her and everyone should? No, definitely not yet. There are some things missing, and she does feel a little bit softer than some of the other characters that are out there in terms of how much damage she can do. But we'll keep an eye on her, see how it changes over the next little bit. But I'm thinking that we'll probably be seeing a bunch of her regardless future on JP, because I think A2 is popular. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Take care. See you later.